It's great to have you on another edition of the Well Child Show with Kemak, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. I'm your regular host, Kemak Onyenuchea. I'm sure you're asking yourself, why is Kemak laughing? Because this is not my regular demeanor on my show. My guest today is a very hilarious human being who brings a lot of comedy but insightful education to issues around neonatal and infant care. Today on the program, we'll be looking at the topic, the benefits of breastfeeding. Of course, we all know breastfeeding has been termed the most important nutrition for newborn babies, and it sets the tone for the health and the well-being of children. I'm going to go on a very quick breather, and the Well Child Show will be back, and I'll see you on the other side. Don't go away. You're welcome back. It's the Well Child Show with Kemak, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. My name, as always, is Kemak Onyenuchea. I have a very special guest with me in the studio today to talk about the benefits of breastfeeding. My very dear friend, Dr. Ayodele Renner. I wish they could see. He's known on Instagram as the noisy Niger Pediatrician.
I'm a problem on Instagram.
Oh my word! Like, Dr. Renner.
How now?
I'm good. Like, I have tried for almost how many months to bring you on the show.
You're not talking to my PA now.
Right, but I was finally able to blackmail you to come on the show today. You're welcome to the Well Child Show.
Thank you so much, Kemak. It's so good to be here, finally.
Right, and of course we have one of your videos, one of your numerous displays of comedy infused with a lot of medical information that we're going to showcase on the program today. And so my viewers can get to know why I have this grin on my face. So Dr. Renner is a consultant pediatrician as well as an influencer, let me put it that way, on social media, but he brings a lot of relevant and insightful education on all his social media platforms while infusing comedy. So doctor, today we're looking at the benefits of breastfeeding.
Yes.
And you seem to know so much about this subject. So why not just, start us off on the benefits of breastfeeding?
Okay. Yes, so breastfeeding, I think, is the foundation of life, essentially. I think one of the first things that babies do when they come out is eat, because, to survive, you need to eat. And one of the first meals that baby will get is mother's milk. Now, breast milk benefits both the mother, benefits the baby, and even benefits society at large. Now, how does it benefit the baby? First of all, the baby gets all the nutrients required, including water, glucose, iron, vitamin D, calcium. Baby also gets immunoglobulins. Now, immunoglobulins are chemicals or proteins in breast milk that are transferred from the mother to the baby when the mother breastfeeds the baby. And these immunoglobulins protect the child from infections like pneumonia, ear infections, diarrhea, and not just in the newborn period, but all the way up until 6 months. For the mother, that bonding, that sense of accomplishment that comes with when you breastfeed your baby and your baby smiles at you, it happens when the mother breastfeeds. Breastfeeding, to some extent, even prevents people from getting pregnant sooner. The shop will not open by mistake.
Oh my word! I was gonna. So there's actually medical proof to back that up.
There is, although don't go and say that it's only breastfeeding you're using. It can feel like anything, but there is medical proof to say that a woman who is breastfeeding exclusively is less likely than one who isn't to get pregnant, before the weaning period is off. And then breast milk is cheap. So you really do not spend any money getting breast milk. Everybody goes to the ATM to go and put in a card.
Right.
Breast milk is just there. It's absolutely free, and so the family is not spending that much money. You're purchasing food for the newborn infants. And believe you me, if you have to purchase formula, you know how much infants actually eat. And breast milk actually even breastfeeding actually prevents cancer, certain types of cancers in the mom, including breast cancer, endometrial cancer. And I could go on and on about the benefits of breast milk. If there was one substance that was actually the secret to eternal youth, it is breast milk.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay, so we're going to break it down. Of course, when we advertised that you were coming on the show, a lot of mothers, even up until this morning, were sending in questions and, wanting to know a lot about breastfeeding. So let me just take a few questions that I have here. Okay, first of all, I think the last message I received this morning was a mother asking that you need to give information on how mothers who do not produce enough milk, like what can they do? What is it? Is it a symptom of an underlying problem? But let me take it back. First of all, is there such a thing as a woman not producing enough breast milk for the baby?
Oh yes, there is definitely such a thing as a woman not producing enough breast milk for the baby, and that can result from a lot of factors, a lot of things. So in mothers, especially first-time mothers, when the baby comes, it can be quite overwhelming because the responsibilities of parenthood can be quite incredible, and it's just daunting. You are responsible for another human being very suddenly, and that anxiety can actually make the breast milk not to be produced, in adequate quantities. So an anxious mother, a mother who is completely stressed out, so a mother who has no help from anyone else and who is, quite overwhelmed with the enormous task of taking care of the newborn baby. A mother who is poorly nourished, so maternal malnutrition, a woman who doesn't have all the nutrients, because you can't give from an empty cup. You can only give what you have.
Right.
A mother who is dehydrated or particularly ill for one reason or the other might not produce enough breast milk. And so identifying the cause or the reason why a mother doesn't have enough breast milk, I think, is what the physician and the family should try to identify, and then tackling the root cause of why she might not be producing enough is what treatment goals should be directed at.
All right, now we have another question here that says, how can a breastfeeding mother care for her breasts? And this is from Anita from Jigawa State.
So this is where I sometimes feel like the female pediatricians have advantage over me, because I will demonstrate.
Oh my word! Dr. Renner, you're on national TV.
Oh my God! but that's it. But that's it. So now, in terms of care of the breasts, what I would say is that your regular bath is all you require, unless I know what's going to roll in the mud, but unless you are doing anything particularly strenuous, your regular bath morning, night is enough to clean the skin around your breast, enough for you to just breastfeed. You don't need to wash your breast with soap or water before breastfeeding. If you want to clean the breast before feeding, just get regular water, just wash the breast a little bit, but there's no need for soap, and then you just go straight directly and then breastfeed your child. If your nipple is cracked, or if it has what we call an abscess, or if it has any wounds or lesions, then you can use the other breast, or you can apply there's an emollient. An emollient is any substance that can help to soothe broken skin. It's called lanolin, and lanolin can actually be used to soothe cracked nipples. And so I think those are the main tips for breast care. When breasts become engorged, as crazy as it sounds, you can actually use cold cabbage leaves.
Wow.
Just put cabbage inside the fridge or freezer and then just place it
on the breast.
Yes,
that's great.
It actually gives relief.
Nice. All right, doctor. So this one is from Njideka from Enugu, and she says, does a nursing mother need to eat or drink certain types of food to improve her production of breast milk? Also, how can a mother ensure an adequate supply of breast milk for her baby?
Okay, now this is where I have to look into the camera, wherever the camera is. So please, palm wine does not make breast milk flow more quickly, or doesn't make breast milk flow better. So please, if you are thinking, if somebody has recommended palm wine, I bought a gallon of palm wine for you, please give them back the palm wine to drink. If they want you to get high, let them try something else. So do not go near alcohol of any kind when you are breastfeeding. Not palm wine, not anything. So what foods help to make breast milk flow properly? Drink a lot of water, eat a lot of calorie-dense foods, carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables. Eat a diet that is balanced and that is rich in all the essential nutrients, and you will lactate. There is no specific or particular food that if you take, you will lactate. Instead, eat a balanced diet, try to relax as much as possible, try to get all the help that you can. Get your husband to do some of the things. I mean, if they give him 2 days, 3 days paternity leave, make sure that he changes the pampers all the time.
Right.
During that period. And then tell them to come and carry the most control to change the channel for you. Even the remote control is inside you. Relax. And these are some of the things that can actually help to, there's no food in particular that will make the breast milk flow better.
All right, so we have another question before we go on the break, and this is from Gertrude in Germany. She's asking, well, you touched a bit on it, but she says, is it safe to drink alcohol, tea, or coffee while breastfeeding?
Alcohol is a definite no-no, so you must avoid every kind of alcohol when you are breastfeeding, because the alcohol can actually get into the breast milk and it will get into the baby, and the baby will be extremely sleepy, extremely, just really so sleepy that the baby will not wake up to eat.
So that means like we can say the baby has like a hangover from as an after effect of consuming alcohol.
Exactly. So it's like the baby has just gone clubbing. Like,
I know, right?
I really don't want the clubbing. But coffee and tea are fine. Tea. I mean, coffee has a lot of caffeine, but I think all things in moderation, because you really don't want to be taking too much caffeine when you are a lactating mother, because it will prevent you from sleeping, and some caffeine will get into the breast milk and into the baby, and the baby as well won't sleep and will become a little bit irritable. So you want to avoid too much coffee in pregnancy.
All right, I think we can take one more question before the break. And this is from Chinelo from Manchester. She says, how often should I feed my baby, and should I set scheduled times for breastfeeding?
How often now the baby should dictate how often you should feed. So the babies, they are the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of the house when they are born. So they dictate everything that happens in the house at that point in time, and so you should actually do it on their cues. What you now need to study is what the baby's feeding cues are. So if the baby is sleeping and begins to toss and turn, perhaps the baby might want to feed. You really don't want to wait until the baby is yelling and ravenous before you feed, because he will feed so voraciously that he might swallow too much air, might spit up, might throw up. So you don't really want that. So the short answer to the question is, note your baby's feeding cues when he wants to feed and go with that. But most babies will feed anything between 8 to 12 times in a day. Scheduled feedings can be beneficial, especially for babies who are particularly sleepy. But once baby has gotten into a pattern, don't see I'm feeding every 3 hours, because you'll be interrupting the baby's sleep cycle, and that will throw the baby's own rhythm of feeding off kilter, and so you really don't want to do that.
All right, thank you, Dr. Renner. We're going to take a short video clip of one of Dr. Renner's comedic, I don't know, do you have a name for your vlogs?
One of my
your noisy vlogs, where you harass
grandmas.
All right, we're going to take that video and we'll be right back, and the Well Child Show continues. Don't go away.
Anyway, now that I have your attention, it is World Breastfeeding Week. I know what you were thinking that thing was, and I was hoping that was what you were thinking. So if you are thinking along that line, then God forgive you. Y'all need Jesus. The theme for this year's Breastfeeding Week is Breastfeeding, Foundation of Life. Even begin to tell you the magic and wonders of breastfeeding, and exclusive breastfeeding is so many. In short, the breastfeeding protects your child against infections like hepatitis B, pneumonia, diarrhea. It also helps bonding between mother and baby. As baby is looking at you, you're looking at the baby, and the baby is not going to wake up one day and say, "Auntie, how are you?" She's going to say, "Mommy," because the baby knows that this is the person that anytime this woman come like this, I open the shirt, food will just be coming out. How much is breast milk? Free. I've never seen any baby going to the ATM machine to go and withdraw breast milk before. I want you to share below and tell me what your experiences have been, your challenges have been as far as exclusive breastfeeding goes. If you're able to do it, how are you able to do it? And then let us know. Maybe some others can benefit from your wealth of wisdom. I've never breastfed before.
Welcome back. It's still the Well Child Show, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative, and I remain your host, Kemak Onyenuchea. I'm still in the studio with the crazy, noisy Naija pediatrician, Dr. Ayodele Renner. Doctor, you're welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Kemak.
All right, sir. So now, of course, we're going to go back to the questions, and this is from Aino from Ibadan, and she says, how do I ensure that my baby is getting enough milk?
Okay. So the most objective way of ensuring that your baby is getting enough milk, or of determining if the baby is getting enough milk, is by an increase in weight. But babies are going to usually, every baby loses weight in the first 3 days of life, and then they get the weight back by 2 weeks. But you can't be waiting to 2 weeks to determine if baby is getting enough. So how you can know if your baby is getting enough is by the number of wet diapers that baby is having in a day. So on the second day of life, baby should have 2 wet diapers. On the third day of life, 3 wet diapers. Fourth day of life, 4 wet diapers. Fifth day of life, 5 wet diapers. That's how it happens. And until about 6 wet diapers in a day by the end of the first week. Now, if you are getting, by the end of the first week, if you are having anything less than 4 wet diapers, it means that the baby is not getting enough. And that's because breast milk is mainly water. So breast milk is 80% water, and if baby is not getting enough, then baby is not going to urinate. And so you find out that you have very few wet diapers. So it's important for you to actually keep count of the number of wet diapers. And even if there is poo in the diaper, as long as there is wee in the diaper, you must count that as a wet diaper. And so that tells you that, well, I'm producing enough, I'm not producing enough. So wee is the way and the solution.
Right. So, okay, I have another question. This is actually from a man, John from Iyanokpaja, and he asks, is there any role that fathers can play to help our breastfeeding wives?
Okay, fathers can play such an immense and valuable role when it comes to breastfeeding babies, or helping with breastfeeding. So, one, when babies have finished feeding, you can put the baby on your chest and then rub the back for the babies to burp. Because men seem to be able to do the burping better, so the books say, because their hands are firmer.
Oh my word!
Their chest is firmer, and so that tapping action helps the babies to bring up the air that you swallow during the feeding. Also, if your wife has expressed breast milk because for some reason or the other, she cannot directly breastfeed, she has to do a few things, then you can actually bottle feed the child. You can help to sterilize the feeding units, sterilize, the feeding bottles if she expresses breast milk. And on the day your wife just doesn't feel like it, why don't you just go into the kitchen and make a spaghetti bolognese?
Right. How do you know? I'm sure you know pasta is my best food.
Pasta, in short, don't worry. After now, let's use the camera. See the camera.
Oh my word. Okay. And the next question is from Amina from Sokoto State. Okay. And she says, can I continue breastfeeding my baby if I am ill or taking medication?
If you are ill, so there are minor illnesses and there are major illnesses. Of course, with minor illnesses like a flu, malaria tends not to be minor sometimes, but just minor illnesses, you can actually continue breastfeeding without interrupting it at all. But of course, with illnesses that require that you be admitted, that require that you might undergo surgery, you might want to suspend breastfeeding for that point in time. Now, with drugs, the general rule with drugs when you're breastfeeding is that you really should not use any drugs that the doctor has not prescribed, because some of these drugs can be harmful to your newborn baby. So if you do feel ill, please always make sure that the drugs that you're going to take are prescribed by a doctor, and always let the doctor know that you're a nursing mother, so that they can check the books and make sure that the drug is not going to be secreted in the breast milk, because different drugs are secreted to different extents in breast milk, and some, even minute quantities, can cause a lot of damage, and some, no matter how much is secreted in the breast milk, it doesn't have any effect on the baby. So it's always good for you to make reference to the doctor before taking any drugs when you are breastfeeding. All
right, doctor. Now, Rosalinda from Umuahia asks a question and says, is it okay to give formula supplements while breastfeeding my baby?
Now, formula or breast milk substitutes. Now, breast milk is always best, always 100%. And the WHO, UNICEF, we physicians, pediatricians, we all advocate that breast milk is what babies should be getting. But in some circumstances and in some situations, and I see it all the time in my practice, where mothers come and they say, doctor, I'm resuming at 3 months. And I don't want it that when I'm resuming is the time I want to now start giving baby formula, because baby might not collect it. So I want to start formula at 2 months, so that by 3 months when I'm going to work, baby has sense and knows that, look, breast milk is not available until in the night when I come back from work. And I say, you know what, can you not express? And some they don't find the time to express. It's so difficult because employers don't really give some mothers time to go and express. Even if they do express at work, where do they store it? So all these issues arise when it comes to exclusive breastfeeding, and I guess maybe we'll discuss that on some other show. But the short answer to the question is that there is nothing wrong with giving your child formula, especially if you really cannot meet up with the demands, the challenges of breastfeeding. But if you can, do everything within your power to make sure that baby gets that breast milk exclusively for 6 months.
Right, Dr. Renner, you're such a star, you're such a celebrity.
Oh.
Like the questions are popping in, non-stop.
Oh my goodness,
So, all right. So this is the next one. This one says, "Keep me anonymous. I'm calling from Ikoyi in Lagos. Can a mother who has hepatitis B infection breastfeed her baby?"
A mother who has hepatitis B infection can breastfeed her baby, but there are some caveats to that. So there is a drug we call hepatitis B immunoglobulin, and what it does is that if the baby has contracted hepatitis B virus during the process of delivery, then that drug neutralizes the effect of the virus, neutralizes the virus itself. And it has to be administered within 12 hours of delivery. So usually they would have detected that the mother was hepatitis B positive before delivery, during the antenatal period, and then they would have planned towards getting the medication. And so as soon as the baby is born, the medication is administered and the mother can go ahead and breastfeed without any sort of hindrance. But the truth is, in a lot of facilities in Nigeria, a lot of mothers don't have access to those kinds of tests, and so they just go ahead and they breastfeed. So if you do have access to those facilities where they can test you for hepatitis B, please get tested, let the baby get the immunoglobulin and the vaccine, and go ahead and breastfeed. It doesn't stop you from breastfeeding at all.
All right, great. Now this is Clara from Bauchi. Says, "I'm a nursing mother. My baby is about 3 months old. My question is, can breastfeeding be continued if my baby is jaundiced?"
Breastfeeding should be continued even if your baby is jaundiced.
Okay, first of all, Dr. Renner, can we talk about a jaundiced baby? What exactly is a jaundiced baby?
So a jaundiced baby is a baby whose skin and eyes turn yellow because there is an accumulation of a pigment in the blood called bilirubin, and that bilirubin is gotten from the breakdown of red blood cells in the baby's blood, in the baby's body. Now, when the babies turn yellow like that, the risk is that the level of jaundice can get so high that it causes brain damage that could lead to death in the immediate newborn period, and then to disabilities in the future, like hearing loss, difficulty with movements, learning problems, visual problems. Now, we don't joke around when we see jaundice as pediatricians. So, the causes of jaundice are plenty, but when baby yellow cloth does not cause jaundice, malaria in pregnancy doesn't cause jaundice. So, and things that don't work for jaundice, papa water doesn't work for jaundice, agbo doesn't work for jaundice. These are the things that people to be hearing now. Let's say papa water work for my baby. It do not work for your baby. The jaundice was going to go by itself.
Oh my word!
But some jaundice do go by themselves, but some you need to treat actively for them to go. There is a type of jaundice we call breast milk jaundice. Now, breast milk jaundice is jaundice that is caused because there is a chemical in the breast milk that is making the child to develop the jaundice. And breast milk jaundice is not harmful. Even if it is breast milk jaundice, most pediatricians say, you know what, don't stop the breastfeeding, just continue breastfeeding. But to also say that it is breast milk jaundice, we would have tested the baby for all the other horrible causes of jaundice that can lead to brain damage. Once we have tested for all those ones and make sure that those ones are not the cause of the jaundice, then we can now comfortably say that, oh, this is perhaps breast milk jaundice. And we can just do a trial of maybe say we'll stop the breast milk for 48 hours. If the jaundice level falls, then we say, oh, this was breast milk jaundice. But we can never decide that it's breast milk jaundice until we've ruled out all the other bad causes of jaundice.
All right. Okay, so this one is from Funke from Ado-Ekiti. And she says, "Why does my baby refuse my breast milk?"
Well, that's a tricky one because babies might refuse breast milk for a lot of reasons, but I think the commonest is if you have started feeding the child, with formula. So the first thing that you gave the child on coming out was formula. Somehow babies just develop a strong preference for things, and then they just think to say, where is that one that you gave me before? What's this one that you're now giving me now? Please go and bring that one that you gave me. So if a mother starts off with formula and now tries to breastfeed, sometimes the baby just says, you know what, I'm not interested. Sometimes it's the bottle. So if the baby first of all had a feeding bottle offered to him before the child was giving the breast milk to suck,
wow,
the milk comes out more easily from the bottle, and so the baby just puts the baby just puts the bottle in the mouth
and it's a go. It
just comes. But with the breast, you have to do a
labor
walk.
Right.
I'm not in the gym. Please, when I'm not Jimmy, go and bring me that
that other one.
So those are some of the reasons why men, but generally most of these want to reject their mother's breast milk. So the lady should just see. She should keep offering. She shouldn't be discouraged. She should keep offering the breast to the child, and hopefully she will get around it.
All right, Doc. I think we still have time for one or two questions. This one is from Enobong from Cross River, and she says, I always enjoy watching the Well Child show. It's extremely educative and highly informative. I want to ask a question, and she says, will I get sore nipples if I frequently breastfeed my baby? Because I just realized that my nipples are getting sore and I am breastfeeding.
So frequently breastfeeding your baby should not. So first thing, I think I want to just quickly touch on the fact that the way you can actually enhance your breast milk production, another way you can enhance your breast milk production is by feeding frequently and emptying the breast, because the one of the most important stimuli for the production of breast milk is feeding the baby. So make sure that one breast is emptied before you move to the other breast. Mothers know how you do it. They know when the breast is empty. They know how it feels. Now, about the cracked nipples. Cracked nipples result from when babies don't latch on properly. There is this sound that babies make when they're not latched on properly, and it sounds like. So if you are hearing that when a baby is on the breast, then the baby is not latched on properly. One of my professors says that is when the baby latches on and is sucking properly, all you should hear is the swallowing sound, and it sounds like bioko, bioko, bioko. And that is how you know that the baby is latching properly. So if you have cracked nipples, the baby is not latching on properly, and you need to,
Dr. Renner, thank you. It's been a very interesting and insightful time. Thank you so much. Definitely, we have more than 30 questions, so we're bringing you back on the show. Thank you for being a part of the show today. Of course, the conversation continues on all our social media platforms on the screen, and of course, I'm reaching out to corporate organizations and well-intentioned individuals. Come in, let's partner together to bring better, greater gravitas in informing the public on global best practices in child health and safety. My name remains Kemak Onyenuchea, and I'll see you on the next edition of the show. Goodbye, and God bless you.